This class is going to be pretty short, pretty simple. 3 different ways to grip a knife when you're throwing it. And the knife I'm going to use for this is the railroad spike knife. Pretty heavy knife, will rust if you don't take care of it. It will rust up. Pretty heavy duty, pretty good thrower. Dagger blade. Alright, 3 ways to hold a knife when you're throwing it. It's pretty simple for the most part, but I want to point out a couple things. The double-edged blade, but the edges are pretty dull on this, honestly. The business end's the sharp point here. Alright, when we go out to the throwing range, when I get off this motorcycle and start throwing, I will go more on these, talk more about these, the way to hold these and how to throw it. 3 ways. 1, throw them by the handle. Surprise! You hold it by the handle. Any way that feels comfortable for you, right? Whatever works for you. When you're throwing it by the blade, you hold it by the blade like this. You could choke up to lessen the spin, choke down towards the point to increase the amount of wrist action and spin. I'll go into more of that on ways to increase, decrease the spin. I want you to notice something, that my fingers aren't actually touching the edge here, nor is my thumb. And that's really kind of a natural way to hold this knife. Granted, there's an edge here, but this is really pretty dull. And I gotta tell you, even with sharp knives, I have never personally cut myself with the edge throwing a knife. And almost 50 years of throwing, about 50 years, I don't want to say my age, but yeah, I've been throwing for quite a while. I've never cut myself with the edge. Not saying it can't happen. If I had a knife that was really super razor sharp, I would definitely be careful with the edge, not to cut myself with the edge. You take a rock and dull it if you must, but just be aware of that. So, handle thrown, or handle thrown, handle held, blade held, which you'll use, it's going to be the first throw you use in this course, is going to be by the blade. I'm not touching the edge either. Now, another one that I don't use very often anymore, but when I started out, I used to hold it, and I still do occasionally, palm held method. And this will enable you to make a longer distance throw. It doesn't spin as much. If I hold it by the blade and I throw, I can get there's some wrist action coming in. You know, a little or a lot depending upon what I'm trying to do. Same with holding it by the handle. There's going to be a little bit of wrist action, which is going to increase the spin. For the palm held, which I'd use for a long throw, I used to, you could throw it, like this, and you just let it sail out straight and try to keep the wrist rigid as you throw. Will greatly decrease the spin. There'll be more on these methods when we go to the range to throw, when I get around to it this summer, hopefully. I think that's it. Just wanted to point those 3 methods out before we go to the range. Those and some other things. Class dismissed.